Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Sporting Max, where today we're joined by multiple team NRL great Brett Finch. Welcome to the podcast, Finchy. How are you going?
Good, mate. How you going? Thanks for the invite. And multiple team, yes, you're right. But I don't know about NRL great. You've been pretty kind to me there. So thanks for having me on.
Now, to start off, can you sort of tell me a bit about your childhood and growing up and what that was like for you?
Yeah, mate. Well, my dad used to play football. My dad played for St George back in the 70s. We grew up in Newcastle. We were born in Maitland, which is in the Hunter Valley, just outside of Newcastle. But grew up in Newcastle. So, Dad, back then, if you made the Sydney competition, the Knights weren't involved then. So, to go down to Sydney and be a part of a Sydney team, and the Dragons had such great history. So he was a bit of a local legend, my old man. He thought he was. It runs in the family, I guess. But so I grew up around football. Dad was one of the lower grade coaches there at the Knights when they come in back in about 1988. Long time before you, Maxie boy. But I was about 6 or 7. So as far back as I can remember, I had a footy in my hands. And I always wanted to be a footy player. I can't remember ever wanting to do anything else. So I was really lucky. Dad was a part of Dad played footy. And, you'd want to do what your dad did. My older brother played footy, so you're always sort of chasing them or trying to prove that part of what. So I always wanted to play footy, and I had a real appetite for it. I had a real love for it and passion for it. So I worked hard at it, and because Dad was involved in the lower grades at Knights, I was also a ball boy with the Newcastle Knights back in the day. John's boys and Chief Harrigan was there, so it was a pretty good childhood, mate. I was a bit of a rascal. I didn't get up to anything really bad, not in trouble, but cheeky without being rude, I like to say, but certainly got up to plenty of fun as a kid, and a lot of it was sport, it was as much sport as you could fit in whenever, in summer you'd be playing cricket or it'd be down the beach doing nippers or surfing, and then in winter it was footy, so a bit like probably where you are, except the footy's AFL, not the NRL. But it'd be cricket and surfing in summer. So it was a great childhood, man. I really, really was blessed to have a good childhood.
Can you tell me about your junior rugby and your experience there?
Yeah, I was. I think I started playing when I was 4. So I played with my brother's under 7s team. So I played like 3 years of under 7s.
Yeah.
Really loved it. I can remember I was always quite good at it. One of the better players in the team. So I think because I don't know, obviously had the genes with Dad. Dad was a pretty good player, so I had the genes there, and I loved playing, so I had a passion for it. Whenever I wasn't playing, or at training, I was always training on my own or playing on my own, or trying to do some sort of extra sessions on my own to get better. I remember about 14, 15, it was hard because a lot of kids were going through puberty or getting bigger, and I was a bit slower to grow. I was still a bit smaller at that age, so as you see, Maxie, I struggle to grow a beard now, and I'm nearly 40. So at 14, 15, I was a late developer. So a lot of guys grew quicker and went through puberty quicker. So I struggled there for a couple of years just because I was so small. But I hung in there, and finally I grew a bit. And I was in the Newcastle junior system, and then Dad got a job down at the Canberra Raiders, working down there, and our family went down there, and I went through the Canberra junior system. I played under 17s and 19s, and ended up going through and playing first grade with the Raiders.
So is that how sort of playing with the Raiders all come about?
Yeah, I didn't get picked for the Raiders. Dad actually got a job down there with the Raiders. So he tugged on the old man's shirt and said, "Can I get a start in the under 17s team?" So in 1998, I played in the under 17s team. By the end of that year, I was in the under-19s team, so I was still only 16, 17.
Wow.
Played under-19s for the rest of the year. Had a good year, played Australian schoolboys. The next year, I started the year in reserve grade, so I sort of skipped under-19s. And I ended up playing first grade that year as a sort of 17-year-old. So the juniors went pretty quick. I didn't play much juniors from then on. I sort of started playing against men, not against guys my own age, which is a bit hard, but certainly sort of you learn quicker when you get knocked around a bit by the big boys. So there were some tough days there, but I certainly appreciated that upbringing I had.
In round 14, you debuted as a little 17-year-old kid against the Melbourne Storm. Yep. Can you tell me about the week in the lead up to your debut and also what happened throughout the game?
Yeah, well, Laurie Daly, it was during Origin period. So Laurie Daly was our captain. he was in Origin. So I got put on the bench. Like you said, I was 17.
Yeah.
I looked about 8 years old. I tell you, I was really, I looked quite young. And it was a Friday night game. We played the Melbourne Storm, who I finished up playing for, but one of my many clubs I played for. But we played the Melbourne Storm. They had a really good team: Glenn Lazarus, Brett Camorley, Scott Hill, a lot of players like Turi Nicow. I was only 17. It was a Friday night game, so I had to go to school. I went to school during the day.
Wow.
And then school finished. At lunchtime, I went home. So I knocked off school. I got the last couple of hours off school, left school about 1 o'clock. But I did school during the day. I was in year 12. Then I was out to Canberra Stadium, Friday night game. And I remember coming off the bench, but Brett Mullins hurt himself, I think. And I come onto the field after about 5 minutes. So I think Mel was trying to use me, not as, just give me a little bit of game time as a young kid. Brett Mullins ended up getting injured, so I ended up playing a lot more. My first run, Glenn Lazarus smashed me. And if you can remember Glenn Lazarus, he was like massive, big lasso. But it was a great start. We won the game. It was a Friday night game, and it was on telly back then, and really enjoyed it.
Now, you took out the Raiders Rookie of the Year award. What did that mean to you at such a young age?
Yeah, it was great. I guess it's a good recognition of, doing what you did as a young fella, like it's, when I look back, and you look at 17, it was really young, I was still a boy, and not only that, not only the way you're thinking, but your lifestyle you live, but in terms of your body, when I mean sort of a man, when you get older, you get stronger and you mature a lot more. Like I was still very small and I was quite fit, but I was quite fragile. I wasn't a big fella. So to compete with those guys at that age of 17, you look back now and I'm pretty proud of it. At the time, you sort of just, take it with a grain of salt and move, because you want to win the comp. You want to win premierships, not so much individual awards. But you're sort of looking back now, I was proud of what I did at such a young age, because I don't think there's many people who have debuted at 17. I think there's only about a dozen of us in the history of the game. So something I'm proud of, but, at the time you just sort of think, oh, well, it's nice, but you'd rather be winning competitions.
Yeah. In 2003, you joined the Roosters and then travelled to England for the World Cup Challenge against St Helens. What was that like to have the experience of going overseas to play the game you love?
It was awesome, and especially again, I was only about 21 years of age. I went to the Roosters. They just won the comp the year before, so I got there. There's a lot of pressure on because they had won the comp. It was probably a bad time to go to a team after they just win the comp. Yeah. You'd rather go to them the year before so you can win the comp. But I got to play with Brad Fittler, and Brad Fittler was my hero growing up. And my coach was Ricky Stewart, who he was a former Canberra halfback, former New South Wales halfback. So to be coached by Ricky was amazing, but also to get the opportunity to play with Freddie was unbelievable because he was my hero. So that was the first game I got to play with him. But to go to England at 21, that's pretty far away. I mean, usually we're just doing bus trips to Sydney, or bus trips to Canberra. Or the furthest I went was Townsville, maybe, or New Zealand. So to go to the other side of the world was huge. And we had a lot of fun. So you can imagine at 21 years old, we were over there for a couple of weeks. So we won the game. We had a great win. I think we won about 38-0 or something like that. We had a great win, but we had plenty of fun too. So, it was one of the good trips I've been away on because it's at the start of the year and, you play the game, but you also enjoy the sights over there and we had some good fun.
Tell me about the 2004 grand final against Canterbury Bankstown.
Oh, you just brought it up, Max. I've just finally got over it. You bring it up again.
Sorry.
It's a really disappointing one, that one for me. 2003, we made the grand final. We lost to Penrith. I really think that year, or that game, it could have gone either way, but I thought Penrith were better than us, and we didn't play well. And I saw it as my first grand final, so I was happy to be there, where the next year I had a really good year individually, and it was my second year at the Roosters, and we were the minor premiers. And to play the way we did against Canterbury, and the Bulldogs, they're a bit of our rivals. They played pretty poor too. It It wasn't a great game, you know.
It was a scrappy game.
It was, you know, it was built right up, you know. It was a big build-up, but it was a bit of a fizzer in the end, you know. And we both really played poorly. And towards the end of my career, that sat in my stomach for a long time. That, you know, I don't think if I didn't win in 2009, I would have finished with a big hole like inside me without winning one, you know, because it was a real missed opportunity in 2004. And it was Freddie's last game. Like I said, he was a hero of mine. So to send him out with a grand final was really important to me. And we didn't play well. It was a really shitty game, scrappy game, like you said. And that was something that stuck with me for a long time. And especially at the Roosters and being a halfback, I probably wore the responsibility for that. And then after that, Freddie retired and the team sort of went downhill a bit pretty quick. So, that was a real disappointing night. Something that stuck with me till I played for the Storm and we beat Parramatta in 2009 where I won one. So I had that feeling. But if I don't think I ever won that one with the Storm, you know, that would have been something that I would have carried pretty much my whole life, I think.
Now, you were called into the New South Wales Blues squad on the eve of Game 1 to play in the State of Origin. What's that like to be called up to play, and what thoughts were going through your head in those sort of moments?
Well, now I'm glad you've asked that question, because if you're going to ask the Origin question, I thought, geez, you better ask this. Better ask the field goal question. I mean, that was amazing. I originally wasn't in the team, which is a surprise. Yeah. But there was a few injuries. About 8 blokes were injured. And anyway, so I'm the last bloke in. And Craig Gower got injured the night before the game in the final training session. And back then, because I wasn't playing, I was out having a few beers with my mates.
Yeah.
I got called in, so I was a little worse for wear. I had a few beers, and it was a real funny feeling because I knew a lot of the guys anyway. Virtually knew everyone because I've been playing for about 8 years by that stage. So I knew a lot of the blokes. And even though it's a bigger game and it's a bigger occasion, you're playing with the best players. So you sort of only have to worry about yourself. You know, at club footy, you sometimes might have to do the job for 2 or 3 players, or there's players that aren't of high quality. So you're thinking, well, is he going to do his job properly? Is this bloke right? You know, you tend to be trying to do something for everyone. But at Origin, because you're playing with the best, you know, it makes it a bit easier in a way. You can
rely on others.
It is, you know, they're there to help you too. You know what I mean? So even though it's a harder game, it's sort of easier in a way in terms of you just have to worry about doing your own job right. And the fact that it was in Sydney, you know, so we had 80,000, 75,000 New South Wales fans and 5,000 Queensland fans. So, and in a weird way, I just knew I was going to play well because I had nothing to lose, you know. And they're probably the situations I've always done well in, you know, like I was sort of one of those guys who'd done well, you know, if it was most blokes might need the week preparation where I was a player if we need to play now, let's go play, you know, I was ready to go. And our forwards played really well, which made it a lot easier for me. Our team played really well. I scored the first try, set up a couple of other tries, and then we're leading 16-0. But like bloody Queensland do all the time, they come right back. Jonathan Thurston kicks a goal from the sideline with a minute to go to make it 16-all. And then I kick a field goal from about 80 metres out. And I was only about
take me through those moments of that field goal.
Yeah, mate, I remember it like it was yesterday. You know why? Because I never stopped talking about it. That's why I can remember it. Anyone who will listen, no one listens to me, but I never stopped talking about it. Yeah, I remember we kicked off to them because they scored, so 16-all. I'll tell you something I haven't told too many people. So they score. They score in the corner to make it, I think they make it 16-14, right? Yeah. And JT, Jonathan Thurston's lining up the kick from the sideline. So we're behind the try line.
Yeah.
JT's about to kick. So obviously I want him to miss it. Yeah. So we're still in front. But I'm thinking if he kicks this, because you know what JT's like, you just knew that.
Yeah, you knew it's going to go in.
He's going to kick it. He never misses, especially the high pressure ones.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if he kicks this, I thought I'm going to kick the field goal for New South Wales.
Yeah.
For some weird reason, I said I'm going to win us the game. So in a part of me, as much as I didn't want him to kick it, I was ready to go. You know what I mean? So we kick off to them. They bring the ball back, and then they kick it down. So there's about 50 seconds left. Or it could be a minute left or something. So originally when we get the ball, I just think, right, we're probably by the time we fix. So when our fullback Brett Hodgson picks it up, I sort of just think the rough estimate of how much you get per set of 6, that we probably won't be in a good position to field goal. So if I can't be in a good position, I've got to just think of putting a kick down in their corner so they can't get a shot at it, you know? Anyway, we shift the ball and we make a bit of a break. And I get to dummy half and I hit Steve Simpson, who jammed another 15 metres into him. And it's like, shit, we're in position here. We can have a crack. And Braithen Astor, who was my Roosters teammate, he's probably a better kicker than me. But I had a sense of occasion that I go, if I kick this, I'm going to be a hero. So there's no way I'm letting Braith kick it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just and the commentary, I think Gus Gould says, Braithen Astor's a long-range specialist. Yeah, well, Gus, you're right, but not today.
Finchies go.
Finch fans, so Braith was still got in position, but I said to him a couple of, got it, mate, don't worry. And when I kicked it, you know, I've shanked plenty in my day, Max, but you know when you hear a 6 in cricket, it's like it's just that,
straight,
you know, it's gone. Yeah, that big, you know, that sound. It was like that off me boot. As soon as I kicked it, I sort of half went, oh my God, this is a chance, you know. And I got up, and it was still going up when it was going through the post, you know.
Yeah.
I'm in Melbourne right now. I could have kicked it from here. That's how far I could have kicked it. I've never hit a kick sweeter. And, mate, to have 80,000 people, you know, that moment there, that roar of the crowd, you know, winning grand finals with your team and all that, but to have in that moment, like to have, because of something like you did individually and have 80,000 people going bananas, you know, something I'll never forget, and, you know, something I'm never going to get ever again in my life, you know, unless you put 80,000 people in the MCG and I just stand in the middle of the screen. But those are the things you miss, you know. You don't get that anywhere else in life. Sport offers that. So it was great. And, you know, things like game 2, I was in for the whole 2 weeks. I had the worst game you've ever seen, and I never got picked again for New South Wales. So there you go. You know, it's funny how things work. When it looked like it was the worst preparation ever, I found it the easiest. And when I had the best preparation ever, I played probably the worst game ever. So, but yeah, it was certainly a special moment for me and my family to experience.
Now, the Roosters and yourself agreed to part ways before the 2007 season, but then Parramatta snapped you up on a 2-year deal, then extended that contract until 2011. What was that like from your perspective, sort of seeing that all unfold? Yeah,
well, the coach, I still had a year to go at the Roosters. The coach who took over at Parramatta, Michael Hagan, he was one of the first captains at Newcastle back in the day when I was ball boy. So our family was very close with Hagues. I had a lot to. He was my first reserve grade coach in Canberra, so I had a lot to do with Hagues growing up. So I thought, you know what, we'd had two pretty bad years at the Roosters, and at the Roosters it was if you ain't winning, it's the halfback's fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was the halfback, so I thought, you know what, I may as well get out now while another club likes me. And the Roosters were happy to let me go. If I stayed there for another year, we had another bad year, maybe these offers for me won't be there next year. So I went to Parramatta. That was great. Had 2 good years there. I enjoyed it. So I extended to 2011. And then after 4 games in 2009, at the end of 2008, Michael Hagan left and Daniel Anderson come in, which Daniel Anderson was a terrific fella, but I was disappointed because I was obviously so close to Hagues and had a great relationship with Hagues. And then over the next sort of 3 to 4 months, my footy didn't go really well. And I spoke to Daniel Anderson and I just said, mate, you know what? I want to release. And I was only 3 games into that new 3-year extension.
Yeah.
So he released me, and I ended up getting a call from a bloke called Craig Bellamy, which I was pretty happy, and I come down to Melbourne.
Now, just 6 days after you were released from Parramatta, you signed with the Storm and Craig. What was that coming in on a 1-year deal like to join Craig and guys like Cam Smith, Cooper Cronk, and Billy Slater?
Yeah. Well, for a few reasons, it was great. I was out of Sydney. You know, I'd been in that, you know, I was 27 at the time. So I'd been in the fishbowl for a long time. And also, I'd always been the big fish in the pond, so to speak.
Mhm.
I'd come down to Melbourne with Smith and Slater and Cronk and
Yeah.
Inglis and Bellamy. I ain't the big fish, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, we're happy to have you here. You can join us, but if you don't come, we don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, our other teams, you know, a lot was centred around me. This time I was playing 5'8", so I wasn't the main ball player, which I wanted.
Mhm.
I was living out of Sydney, so obviously because AFL's massive in Melbourne, you didn't have that spotlight as much. And I was playing inside Greg Inglis. Now, me and Greg were on the left side of the field for the Storm. I'd catch the ball, pass the ball to Greg.
Yeah.
Greg would palm off about 8 players, and I'd get a try assist. And I was like, you know, and I thought, how good am I? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was really good. And you know what? It really challenged me again. It was at the end of my career. I was 27. I'd already played 200 games. So to come down here and have to earn me stripes again in a way, you know what I mean? Because these blokes are the best.
Yeah.
You know, it was just something I needed at the right time in my career. And, you know, I found the passion and love for the game come back again and my work ethic come back because probably 18 months before I come down to Melbourne, I got a bit lazy and started taking a few shortcuts with me, with how hard I worked, with me footy, and it probably showed on the field. And to come back down here, it sort of kick-started it again. It's like a second coming, and really enjoyed my time in Melbourne. It was the highlight of my career, and I got so many friends out of it, and still do every time I come down here. Still catch up with the boys.
What's that like to play under an amazing coach like Craig Bellamy?
He's the best, mate.
Yeah.
He's I've had a few issues post finishing my career, just personal stuff. You know, and Craig would ring and say, "How you going?" Now, I'd retired 7 years earlier. You know, it's just crazy. And it's still now. I still like to say, "Yeah, I'm going good. I don't want to let him down." You know, so that's the impact it has on you. You know, it's like when you're playing, you don't want to let the guy down. Even now, you'd like to say you're doing well. You know, I've got an 18-month-old now, so to show him how much I've come along, because you know, when I was playing with Craig, I don't think you could ever picture me having a kid, even though I was like 30, still a little immature at 30. So now I'm a bit older, nearly 40. It's, you know, he sees that. He has that impact. He wants to make you a better person. And you know what, if you're a better person and you do the right thing and you're kind and you work hard and you tend to, you know, if your life's good, your footy is good. And Craig did that through setting a real good example. He worked super hard. Like, you could never beat him in the office. Like, you get in there at 5 o'clock, he's already in there, you know?
Yeah.
He works really hard and sets a great example for everyone. He's real honest and real kind. So if he does give you a kick in the bum, it's fair. You sort of go, well, you know what, I probably deserve that, you know? But if he needs to put an arm on his shoulder or you need help, he's the first one there too. So, you know, and he's done it for 20 years. That's what's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and he's achieved so much. He starts every year it's like he's never won anything. It's like, mate, do you know you're the best? You know? Do you know you just won another competition, you know? You know, his record, I think, besides the 2010, the salary cap year, when we didn't play for any points, the worst he's finished is the first week of the finals. It's like 7th. You know, that's crazy. And he averages making a grand final every second year. Like, that's just out of this world. So, not only is he a great coach, he's a great mentor in life because he's a great person, you know, and he invests in you as a player, but he invests in you as a person as well. So I feel very lucky that I've got him in my life now and very lucky to be coached by him.
I think I saw him on the that Mark Howard's Howard Games podcast, Craig, and he said, like, you know, at the Storm, like, sort of, you got to work hard. You know, you've made your own bed. When they have to release players, like, you've made your own bed. You know, you can sleep in it. So what's that like coming into the environment at the Storm where you sort of have to work hard to maintain your spot every day? Yeah,
well, it's sort of what they do, how they do it, and Craig, obviously, it's through years now with Craig having such good senior players like Cameron, obviously, Billy, Cooper, but then those were the guys when I was there, you know, Ryan Hoffman, Ryan Hinchcliffe, Brett White, Dallas Johnson. Then you go through blokes like Jesse Bromwich, Kenny Bromwich, Dale Finucane. You know, now you have Will Chambers. Now you got blokes like Munster and that coming through. It's a production line where, because Craig sets the tone on this is how we act, and everyone else does the same. If you're a new bloke coming in or a young bloke coming in and you buck the trend or you're a bit of a dickhead, so to speak,
yeah,
you stand, you just don't last,
yeah.
Because it's so obvious because you're like big soldier crabs. Everyone's going this way. If you're going that way and want to do your own thing, you just don't last, So the team sort of governs itself because, Craig set these standards in place where Cameron and, it's like a perfect example is after training, like even I would say just the year gone by, Cameron Smith will be the last on the field after training, practicing, practicing his passing and goal kicking. He's played 800 games.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the best ever.
Yeah.
Like, mate, and he's nearly 100. Go put your grandpa slippers on, Cameron. But he's still practicing, And he still wants to get better. So if you're 17, 18, and you see a bloke who's won 5 competitions and played,
and he's like almost 40.
Exactly. Well, I think he's more than 40, but anyway. but you know what I mean? And he's doing that. If I'm 17, 18 and I think I'm the hero and I've done nothing, you're just going to, it just won't wash, you know what I mean? So you sort of don't last long unless you have them same attributes. Exactly right, mate. So, because when the best players are doing it, like Craig and Cameron and Jesse Bromwich, these blokes who have been there forever, and these blokes who, if anyone had a reason not to work hard or cut some corners, it's these blokes because they've already achieved, but they refuse to, It must be, those Etch-a-Sketch things with kids, you can draw on them and then you can swipe it off.
Yeah.
I think that's what their memory must be like because they're so successful, and at the end of the year they swipe across and it's like they've never won anything. They continue to work hard again next year, so they're the best.
You and the Storm won the 2009 grand final against your old side. Bit of revenge there against Parramatta. How did that feel to win your first NRL grand final and then unfortunately have it taken away from you due to a couple of breaches?
Just a few, not too many. Just a few million.
just a few.
Just a couple. It was amazing to win it, and without going too deep into it, the salary cap sort of things. If anyone knows that there's a lot of salary cap issues in the game, it's me. I've played at a lot of clubs, so I get a bit cranky how they targeted the Storm, but we did the wrong thing. So we've got to cop it. But like Ben Johnson, who won the gold medal in the '88 Olympics in Seoul, you wouldn't have been alive then. '88 Olympics, he got caught in Seoul, but he said after it, I did the wrong thing, but I was running in a fair race. That's what I say about the Melbourne Storm. We cheated, but we were competing in a fair competition because I know for a fact other teams were cheating as well, because I played at other clubs. So just to go for this, and things like years later, Parramatta got caught, but because the 2 years they were cheating the salary cap, they won 2 wooden spoons. So they didn't take the wooden spoons off them, But aside from that, we did the wrong thing. So we've got to cop the punishment. But it was quite an amazing year. I played my old team. I leave. I really believe that Parramatta wouldn't have made it if I'd stayed there, and Melbourne wouldn't have made it if I didn't go there. It was the right thing for both clubs. If I stayed at Parramatta, there's no way they would have had the year they had. And if I went to Melbourne, I don't think I played an important role for them too to get them. So, well, it was a crazy situation. It was more so, like I felt for the boys you beat because they're your mates, and I'd lost previously, so I know how tough it is. But also, for me, again, I was back to a bit what I was talking to you earlier about 2004 when we lost. It was, I was 29 that year, and I knew there wasn't too many chances left for me to win one.
Yeah.
And so to finally win one, obviously we've had it taken away, but I'll always believe, I did the hard work to win that competition. And you can't take away the memories. And I've still got the ring, so they can't take away the ring either. It was an amazing feeling just that night and that week of celebrations was great.
In 2010, you signed with the Super League champions, the Wigan Warriors. I hope I said that right.
Wigan Warriors, Wigan.
Yeah, Wigan. How and when did this deal start to happen?
Well, the salary cap happened, obviously, so Storm had to get rid of some players. And our assistant coach in Melbourne, Michael Maguire, at the end of 2009, he went over to Wigan to coach in the English Super League. So it was a powerful club. It had great history over there in the English competition.
Mm-hmm.
Very cold, north of England. Wigan is up near Manchester. But I had some people there I knew, some players there I knew from Australia. The coach, obviously, Michael Maguire, I had a real strong relationship with him for going back to Canberra days. So I knew him. Mm-hmm. I'd known Mike for 10 to 12 years. And I was 30 years of age. I was single. So I thought, good chance to go over there, do a bit of travelling as well. Mm-hmm. The competition's not as harder. The sort of top team, half of the competition's NRL standard. The bottom half is probably not as hard. So for the back end of my career, just to slow down a bit and have a bit more fun. Yeah. And, it was really enjoyable. I loved it. It took a little bit of time to get used to because it was so cold. Certainly the first I got over there at the end of 2010, and for the first 2 weeks, it was minus. Like the temperature was minus degrees every 2 weeks. I remember I got to 3 degrees and I thought, oh, wow, what a beautiful day. It's not bad weather today. And I remember thinking, shit, I'm in some trouble if you're thinking 3 degrees is warm, Yeah. But it was a great time. I had a really good 2 years there. The Wigan people were sensational. The local people were great. The fans were as passionate as any club I've ever been at. They loved their rugby league. We had great crowds. The funny thing was, when I first went over there, I had a neck operation, so I missed the first 6 weeks of the 2011 season. Anyway, I started to play 2011. I wasn't so great early, but I found my feet and got better. And they sung a song for me once. It said, hey, Finchy, you used to be shy, but now you're all right, walking in the Finchy. So they were great. They were a lot of fun, and the people were great. And it was 2 years I've got so many fond memories of. I loved it. And I wish I had an opportunity to come back to Melbourne to get into some media stuff after that. But I look back now, I wish I'd stayed over there and played longer because I really enjoyed it.
Now, you played in the 2011 Challenge Cup final, win 28-18 over the Leeds Rhinos at Wembley Stadium. Talk to me about this game.
Yeah, well, I'm a football buff. I'm a football nerd. And I got I'm a weirdo in a lot of ways, Max, once you start talking to me. But I've got an unbelievable memory. I remember pretty much everything that happened through my footy career in games and times and other people's games. So the Challenge Cup, it had great history in the game of rugby league, even though it was just a competition that was in the English competition. But I knew the history of it because I was a history buff with rugby league. So to play at Wembley Stadium, only the big events are at Wembley, whether it's big concerts or, the FA Cup in soccer, or it's the English Lions in Union, or whether it's the English soccer team, like over the years, there was Beckhams and, all those sort of players. So it's only the best events play at Wembley. So the opportunity to play at Wembley and you walk the steps when we won and we received the trophy in the crowd, that's something they've been doing there for hundreds of years, So to be a part of that and win that was definitely the highlight of my time there. And it was down in London too, so we were down there for a week because, like I said, Wigan was north of England. So to be down in London for a week was great to be down there too, and to win the game was just icing on the cake.
Now you return back to Melbourne after the 2013 NRL season. How did you make that decision?
I really wanted the salary cap finish. It left not a sour taste, but I didn't get to go out on my own terms. I had the opportunity to come back and possibly do some coaching at the Storm or get into some media work. So I come back and played one more year. You know how people say you should retire a year early, not a year late? Well, I retired a year too late, but I'm really glad I did because I knew halfway through that year I'm done. It was get me out of here, I've had enough. I'm sick of getting hit. I'm sick of getting tackled. I'd had enough, and I'm glad that because if I hadn't had that last year, I'd always had something in my mind. Geez, I could have kept playing. I would have always thought I could have kept playing and I retired too soon. But I'm glad I played that year because it was horrible. I didn't want to be there. It was hard. The game had gone past me. But I'm glad I had that because when I'd finished, I was done.
Knew you were done.
But I was so glad I got to come back and finish at Melbourne, a club I loved. Under Craig Bellamy, and another chance to play with those great players we spoke about earlier. Smith, Cronk, Slater, Chambers, all the players I'd loved. Jesse Bromwich, some young kids come through, Kevy Proctor. So it was great. I'm really grateful to finish in Melbourne, even though it wasn't great spectacularly form-wise. I'm glad I got that, and it's something I always thank Melbourne for letting me have that final year.
You retired from rugby at the end of 2013. Then from 2013 to 2016, you were actually a sideline commentator on Channel 9 and also made a few appearances on the NRL Footy Show. How did you find that transfer from the playing side of the sport to the media side of the sport?
Well, it was great because now I'm an expert, Max, you know what I mean? And everything I say is right, you know what I mean? No, it was good. I enjoyed it. I certainly didn't like, when I was playing, I didn't like former players all of a sudden becoming experts, So if I had to be critical, I thought I was quite constructive. I tried to add a bit of banter, just being the sideline guy. It's not like you're up in the box. So you only have to do comments here and there. And I knew a lot of the players still because I'd retired the year before. I'd retired that year. So I was still very fresh out of playing. So I enjoyed it. Did some work on the Footy Show with Fatty and the big man and Bo and Aaron, and that was a lot of fun too. So life was pretty good then because I was just working at Channel 9, so I was doing a couple of days a week, the commentary and the Footy Show, and life was pretty good.
In 2017, you began working on Fox Sports. How did that all happen?
Well, the head of sport at Channel 9, when I went there, his name was Steve Crawley. He got me across. He then went across to Fox Sports to run the NRL at Fox Sports because during that time, I think in 16 or 17, Fox, just like it's got the full-time AFL channel, it had Fox Footy and also got NRL on Fox. So he went over there to run those two, and he brought me across, and he stuck by me. I had a few issues there, and I asked to be stood down from 9, and Steve gave me another chance. I gave me a chance at Fox to kickstart it and start fresh there, and had 3 years there at Fox, and that was a bit different. That had Matty John's show and all those type of shows on there with Fletch and Hindy. I don't know if you've seen much of them, but they're lunatics. Yeah. They're great blokes. But I was sort of caught in the middle because I would do the commentary and the serious stuff, but then I'd get roped into some of Fletch and Hindy's stuff and Matty's stuff as well. So you're all over the shop. You didn't know where you were. Am I with Fletch and Hindy? Because they were just having, they were just having lots of fun, you know what I mean? And they're a bit crazy. And then sometimes I was doing the commentary on games. So I enjoyed my time there because I got to do a bit of everything. What's
it like to know Matty Johns and then see his son Cooper Johns come and play for the Storm?
It goes back a long way with our family because my dad coached Matthew. My dad gave Matthew his first start at the Knights.
Yeah.
So when Matthew was 18, 19, Dad brought him into the reserve grade team at the Knights to give him a trial game, which kick-started his career. So I think Matty always felt when there was times to help me or get me involved with his show, he did because, my dad helped him and he's helped me. So now, like I remember going over to Matty's house having a drink once and Cooper was 8 years old, back in 2008 when I'm playing. Now Cooper's making his own way in life and making his own path in the NRL. So it's great to see Cooper, doing really well. I did a podcast with Cameron Munster the other day. I think they're pretty good mates.
I saw that.
And it's really funny the way they talk about Cooper because I remember him and I remember a young kid, you know what I mean? And now he's a grown man. And I think that was the same with Matty. Matty always seen the young kid in me because he knew me from the age of 5,
Yeah.
But, it's great to see him doing well, but also at the same time just reminds me how old I've got and how quick life goes, I remember being your age, just it's like a blink of the eye, and next minute you're nearly 40. So, it's great to see Coops doing well. It's crazy how that's worked. My dad coached Matty. Matty looked after me at Fox Sports, and now Cooper's, he's coming through Matty's son. So it's, one generation after the other. It's been great to be involved with their family.
In 2018, you married your partner, Ali. Then in 2019, welcome your kid into the world.
Yep.
What were these years like for you?
Yeah, it was. So obviously, I got married later. I settled down, everything a bit later. Like my whole family, I was a bit of a black sheep, Maxie. Tell you the truth. My brother, older brother got married at 21. My younger brother got married sister got married at 21.
Mm-hmm.
My mum and dad were married early, and I was single till I was 32. So I did things back to front. And I had a few tough years post-retirement. I missed the footy, and I went through a bit of depression there, just a bit missing the footy and those sort of highs you get out of footy and being around the boys. So, but I got Ellie stuck by me through all that, which she's very brave to do, I tell you. So I didn't make it easy. And then I had my little girl, Mackenzie, who's just amazing. She looks like a mother, thank God. So she's a beautiful little thing. But without getting too deep, when I first finished footy, all I ever wanted to do, long before I was your age, like 3 years old, all I ever wanted to do was play footy. Mm-hmm. And then when you finish footy, it's like, what am I going to do? That's all I ever wanted. This is all I ever wanted to do in my life. And now it's done. So where to next? So there's a big hole in my life, Like most jobs, you start at the bottom and you can work your way up to your 55. League, it was done and dusted I'm done by 32, and I never wanted to do anything else. So I was a bit lost there for a while. And then getting married and then having Mackenzie, that just proved this is what I'm here for. I'm here to be a great dad, and it gave me a new purpose, a new direction in life. Where I thought the only reason I was supposed to be on this planet was to be a footy player. Now there's someone else who's more important than me, you know what I mean? Because for so long, all I ever did was think of myself and worry about yourself, as a footy player. Now I've got a little rug rat to chase around, and she's just the best. So, it was great. It was, it turns your life upside down, as any parent will tell you. Sometimes I think, what the hell am I doing? Or would you please go to sleep? But I'm sure my parents said that about me too. But she's great, my little girl, and little Mackenzie. She's a ripper, and always keeps us on our toes. But we feel very grateful that we have her.
On September 30th, 2019, you launched your own podcast named Brett Finch Uncensored. Yeah. Tell me about where the inspiration for this came from.
Well, I got let go from Channel 9. Foxtel. They did, with the COVID stuff, they let me go. They didn't re-sign me. No, I'm one of those guys. I need to stay busy. When I'm by myself, I'm in bad company. I start climbing the walls. I need people. So I needed to stay busy. I thought, you know what? It wasn't so much about doing a good podcast. It was keeping me busy. And I thought, then I can speak. I had all these great mates. Like Freddie Fittler was my hero growing up. Yeah. I've done Minnie and Rico. Some of these blokes I've done, they're mates of mine, but we never had the opportunity. And I wanted to talk more serious on a deeper level, but we never had that opportunity because when you always catch up as mates, it's always laughing, joking, Mm-hmm. So when you're sort of structured in the podcast setup, it opens up that opportunity to ask some more serious questions. With Freddie was about leadership and his change in his life and things like that. So, and these are the guests I got on with people I wanted to talk to, and if anyone watched them, if there was one download, well, that's a bonus, Yeah. Because it was something that was going to keep me busy because I needed to keep myself busy there. Lucky for me, it's gone okay where a few people are watching it. And it's getting a bit of legs, I did Acker, Jason Ackermanis. I did Dermy the other day. Yeah. When I get back to Sydney, I think I've got Michael Clark, Josh Kennedy, the Swans captain. I think I hopefully can get him. So, now to branch across into other fields is great because, I've always thought, the things to success is the mentality to success is all the same. It just may be in a different sport or business or whatever. So, the opportunity to talk to these successful people and hear their story. And I think I've always had a good relationship with people. A bit like you, Maxie, you get people open up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I can create a comfortable setting where, if they wanted to get something off the chest, they could. So, but originally started just me trying to keep busy, mate. And I think it was just for me missus to get me out of the house. So I'd stop. But it's something I really enjoy. And I'm lucky I've had the people jump on board, which has been great.
Now, you mentioned a few guests there and sort of Jason Ackermanis. I've seen you've had some great guests, including Brad Fittler, who you've mentioned throughout this episode. And I saw you recorded with Craig Bellamy and also Brandon Smith, a.k.a. Champ Cheese.
I knew you'd love the cheese. Everyone loves the cheese.
Yeah, everyone loves the cheese.
Hey, he's got more nicknames than P. Diddy. What's he? Yeah. Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Sean Diddy Jones. I was like, it's Champ Cheese, it's Double Cheese, it's Hectic Cheese.
Yeah. What's that like for you to sit down with these guys and get them to open up to you, for them to talk about their lives and careers?
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, for someone like, you know, Champ, the Brandon Smith Cheese, you know, and Cameron Munster, you see a little bit of yourself at that age, you know, or what they're going through. So while you're in a totally different stage of your life, you know what they're going through because you went through it, or you sort of can relate. So like a bit of an unwritten rule too in footy. We played at the same club, so they've heard stories about me. You know, it's sort of like that. Storm's really good about honouring their past players. You know, so you sort of have a connection without really doing anything to have a connection. You know, it's just the fact we've both been at the same club. So for them to talk about stuff, it sort of it makes you relate or brings back memories of something similar for you. So that's been great. Craig was just great to talk to him about life, about his work ethic, about what makes him still succeed. And, you know, you sit there and listen to him all day. So I felt really lucky to sit down with Craig. I pestered him for a while. And he was like, well, I'm just going to, if I don't say yes, you're just going to keep annoying me, aren't you, Finch? I said, yep, that's exactly right. So he said, okay, let's do it. So I've been lucky there. And, you know, as you sort of know, the more people, you know, I remember when you rung me, you know, you mentioned how many people you had on, you know, so, you know, I thought, beautiful, let's go on. So it's sort of like the domino effect now too, you know, because you get a couple of people on, you know, someone might hear who's on, or, you know, or you tell people who's been on your show, even if they haven't seen it. Yeah. You know, they say, well, those guys have been on it.
I'll go on.
I'll jump on too. So, you know, I'm grateful those guys went on. You know, people different stages of their career. Obviously, Bellyache's, you know, in his 50s and he's coaching. And then you got, you know, Brandon Smith starting out, or Cameron Munster in the middle of his career, winning competition. You know, so to be able to talk to different ages and, you know, different stages of people's lives is great. You know, you talk to Hectic Cheese and he's talking about celebrating and Mad Mondays and drinking benders, you know. Craig's talking about being on the Gold Coast close to his family and his grandkids, and, you know, so it's great to talk to people at all different stages of their life. And, like similar to you, it's just something interesting where you get to have people open up about their story, about their life.
Now, I want to see what your opinion is on the Brad Fittler and Hectic Cheese interview on grand final day night.
Oh, mate, it's classic cheese, isn't it? You know, it's but Freddie's one of those guys. You look back in time, a lot of people who have swore or said crazy stuff, they usually either got interviewed by Matty Johns or Freddie. Yeah. They're two lunatics themselves, you know. They certainly make him feel comfortable. But that's him, you know, that is Brandon, that's cheese, you know. And it's so refreshing to see, because you want to see people be themselves. And I understand why players can get sheltered and be protected, because some, you know, certain parts of the media, if you're yourself, they want to shoot you down. But I don't think Brandon gives a rat's ass if whatever people think. It's been great to see that side of him. And I thought it was great. I'm sure fans out there love that interaction. I had that opportunity to see that they sort of stuff. But I think that interview will be one of those interviews that, you know, you could play in 10, 20, 30, 50 years' time, and it'll still be a beauty.
What would be your best advice to anyone trying to make their way into being a pro rugby player and have a successful career like yourself?
Yeah, I think with anything is just work hard. You know, I think if all you can do is work hard and do your best, you know, it's as simple as that. At the Melbourne Storm, any goals we had, if we had a defence goal or an attack goal, it was always based around effort. So whether you were the best player or the worst player, there's no excuse why you didn't achieve the goal. The only reason you wouldn't have achieved the goal is because you hadn't applied enough effort.
Yeah.
And that's what, one thing I took from Melbourne, just to work hard. If you work hard and give it your best shot, you can walk away knowing, you know what, there's no more I could have done.
Yeah.
But whether, I'll talk, say, rugby league, because that's what I do. If I didn't give it 8, if I didn't give 100% and fell short, then I've got to live with that for the rest of my life. And I think that's like your own personal prison, to know you didn't give your best, or, because you never get the chance to do it again. Like you're still young, you're coming into those years ahead, but I can never be 18 to 21 again, I can never get the chance to say you only get one shot at it. And I had a real appetite to work hard, so I'm really grateful but there were certain stages, like I said, where my attitude was poor and I didn't work hard, which I regret throughout my career. But, if you work hard and give it all you got, then no matter what the result will take care of itself if you work hard and give yourself the best shot, because then you've done everything you could do, whether you make it or you don't make it, you can live with yourself, but work hard and give it your best shot.
Thanks, Finchy, for coming on the podcast and setting aside some time to come on and have a chat. It's been an absolute honour to have you on.
Well, mate, it's an honour to be on. And guess what? It's an hour or so I didn't have to talk to my missus, so I'm glad. I'm glad. I didn't have to change any dirty nappies. Yeah. So I'm glad. So anytime you want me on, mate, I'm more than happy to come on and have a chat. But thank you for having me. It's been awesome.
Thanks,
I wish you all the best.
Thanks, Finchy. Stay tuned, everyone, for some more Sporting Max.